Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm Gonna Talk and You're Gonna Listen. I'm your host, Chance Paladin, and I just want to kick it off by saying thanks for the folks talking and stuff last time and keeping the chat comments going. Tuck, appreciate you, and CDK, I see ya. I hope you're doing well, and well, yeah, that's not yeah. I didn't actually get a lot of people interacting in the last one. But Tuck and CDK, appreciate you. So let's just jump into it. What's happened since the last one? Well, they were trying to force everybody back to the office. That's on the federal three letter folks. In some cases, that's happened, but in most cases, it hasn't. I would say very, very, very few of the agencies have been sent back to the office. Let's see. I got my notes here. Oh my gosh. Um, a couple of buildings have been sold. So that's interesting and good. I think pretty much all the buildings should be sold. Quite frankly, I mean they don't need that many. So that's started. A bunch of thousands and thousands and thousands of probies have got let go. Some of them actually got pulled back and resumed their jobs, so that's good for them. I think a lot of the probies from USAID and the IRS have been let go. I mean, I could just read all of this off, but it would just be like pages and pages and pages of stuff. So I'm kind of paraphrasing. Some of these agencies, you might be like rooting for them all to be let go, and some are significantly more toxic than others, surely. And there's been a lot of new leadership identified. Cash Patel and Don screw his name up, Bogiani, John blah blah. He's him and Cash are in charge of the FBI now, and Cash is also in charge of ATF, which is interesting. I don't think those two should merge. I think the ATF just needs to go night night. But that's really here nor there now. The Department of Education is still around. I think they've had some layoffs. The EPA has had some layoffs. But I kind of want to contextualize it by pointing out that, like, almost no executive level at all has been laid off. And that is where the root of the problems are. Maybe like, a fraction of maybe like 1%. I did a couple managers get let go? Yeah, because they would have been probies. They would have been brand new people that just got manager. So they're not really a part of the management bloat. I guess you could argue they were adding to it. And then and some people took the buyout, and the buyout's going to be taking place here in just a few days. 1 second. There we go. I forgot to plug in my power. So a lot of stuff's happened, but it's happening in kind of like baby steps as Musk kind of swings at the low hanging fruit, and kind of the topic this episode is, and again, I appreciate like the two of you that listen to this, makes me feel like I'm at least doing something. Kind of the question is like, has Musk finally gone too far? Has he finally shit the bed? Has he finally blown his wad? Has he finally gone full Vivek Ramaswamy? And The reason why I say that is because in the latest turn of events, the major thing since the last episode is Elon through OPM, which it's kind of like if federal had like a giant federal level HR, but they're kind of just record keeping. Oh, by the way, all of this has been leaked a million times over. It's all over Twitter and it's all over Reddit all weekend. I was waiting for it to play out before I commented on it because everybody else is commenting on it, and quite frankly, like 99% of those people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Very very few people had actual like sensible takes on it, and we're going to get into that. I want to start by saying I think Elon's brain is completely fried, and I think his brain has been fried for a long time, at least since Christmas. He's just, when him and Vivek went nuts the last time, I mean, that was, he maybe it's been since a long time before that, but that's when it was like definitively obvious that like he has is having challenges. So separating reality from whatever the fuck world he lives in, tech bro land. So I guess I want to oh, okay. So we'll go through my notes here first before I start going off again. He released a Twitter on Saturday, I think, saying that by Monday night, which is tonight, if everybody didn't say 5 things, that they would be resigned. Now, that's completely impossible. That's not even a thing that exists, period. And some of you might be thinking, well, he could just will it into existence. He can't. There's only like one, or unless you do something illegal, there's only 1 or 2 people that can fire you. Well, whether you're in the public or the private, as long as you're not a contractor. If you're a contractor, you're just fucked no matter where you work or what you do. But federal has a lot of protections, unless you're a probie, in which case probies were kind of like at will, which is why they were able to let them go so easily. But Elon can't fire federal employees that are past their probationary periods yet, and we'll get into that. Nor can he do some kind of weirdo stipulation that says you resign by not responding to an OPM thing. So whether people should or not, we'll get into that later. So he made another post after that saying that if anybody responds, they should get a promotion. He also can't give people promotions at all. That's retarded. That's not a thing that exists. It's maybe something that he wants to exist, but I somehow doubt it. That he even wants that, because he just spouts so much fucking bullshit. And then today, he did another Twitter that said, if you don't, he's going to give everybody a second chance. If Trump will allow him to have a second chance, which was kind of a weird way of putting it. He said, everyone responds with 5 bullet points what they did, or they get fired. He cannot fire people. OPM cannot fire people. So he seems to have completely lost his fucking mind. And this is also on the heels of there being a restraining order from the Doge team being able to access OPM's information about everybody anyway, because OPM is the Office of Personnel Management. They have every record of everything on every federal employee, period. Every single thing about them. And a judge today did a restraining order on them, saying there was immediate risk of them having that info and them having, I believe it was like no actionable reason to have it. Now here's the thing though, if they were going to root out corruption, they do kind of need that information. But that kind of overextends what the Doge really is, which is kind of just like system level problems. They don't have any purview to investigate people, period, and they never did. People might want them to have that, but they don't. That's like the Office of Inspector General. Actually, I'm not even sure if they can really go after people. They might like be able to recommend to go after people, and maybe the FBI does. I don't know. I don't know that much about government stuff. This is just like what I read, what I've been gleaning off all the leaks that have been happening. So herein lies the problem. Like some of you might actually like want all this stuff, but the reality is that it doesn't work that way. And Musk never bothered to learn how it worked because he's a tech bro fucking retard and thought that he could just come in and somehow, I don't know, just fly over what 200 300 years of bureaucracy. Like, he can't do it. Orange Man can't do it either. It takes so if you've ever heard like that would take an act of Congress, almost everything that he wants to do would take an act of Congress, literally. And it would have to pass the House and Senate, and they would have to figure this shit out. He can't give people bonuses. He can't make people resign. He can't fire people. He can't do any of those things. They could do it with probies, but only if it's not going to just like completely destroy like a mission critical agency. If I'm not mistaken, they already did accidentally fire people that worked on the nuclear power plants, and they already accidentally fired some people that were working on the bird flu, which by all accounts seems to be getting more of a concern. So he's making a lot of missteps, and he's just losing his fucking mind. And he did it again today, where he's shown more memes of empty offices and telling people they need to go back. And it's just like, dude, I thought you wanted to sell the buildings. Everything I've read so far of everybody trying to go back has said that there's not enough room in the offices anymore, and the offices aren't in good shape. And I think even not OPM, I can't remember the name of the agency that actually takes care of the buildings. It's on the tip of my tongue. But they even said like a lot of those buildings are really old and just haven't been taken care of. They need to just sell those buildings and get them into people who are going to use them and take care of them. And all the while everybody's like, the federal government doesn't show up, to their computers until noon, and they're in their pajamas and they're fat and lazy. And Musk even like shared a picture of like, a fat lazy person, on their computer at home. Somewhere in here, his shit is just so like manic. It's then it'll be something about like a spaceship. He thinks the shit is just like so hilarious, and it just reminds me of just like oxygen starved, manic, depressive, schizophrenic fucking bullshit. If you just see just the sheer volume And he keeps like repinning new shit over and over again. So that's why just like last time, I'm not gonna waste shit tons of time citing all of this and stuff. Like, I'm not gonna do it for, like the two people that are gonna read this. But the one from an hour ago says, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. 100% fucking impossible to do. And it's unhinged shit. So could you imagine if just... Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Several agency heads have already said to not respond. Now, those agency heads could actually fire you if you think about it. So, are you going to respond to Elon Musk, who by all accounts is completely fucking out of his mind, or your literal agency head who's telling you to not do it, who actually can fire you? And do you think Elon Musk can fire all of the appointees that Donald Trump just made? Because that would be the next thing that he would have to do. Or Trump would have to tell all of the agency heads to all go back on what they said. And so, do you know how much, I'll second this, you might think it's all cute and funny for everybody to just take a couple seconds to do 5 bullet points. But do you have any idea how long, if you add it all up, it would take 2 million employees to do that? Do you know how much data and electricity and wear and tear on servers, how much server space for what? Like a dick measuring contest? And that's the problem. Is Musk is acting like all I did was ask them to submit 5 things. That's all I did. That was the I forgot what his other one was. It's like, it's literally just a litmus test to just see if they could send 5 things. That's literally all it was. It's like, nobody fucking believes that because he's a tech bro. I guarantee you, every single thing was going to be weighted, measured, and thrown in an AI. And a lot of people on Reddit pointed out, even the OPM email, the response to every single OPM email went to a different OPM responding email based on which 3-letter agency they were in. So this shit was getting measured a million different ways. So he's fucking lying. And that's the thing. You can't, we just want transparency, or the people are tired of their tax dollars being wasted. Even if it takes everybody 5 minutes, let's get out the fucking calculator. I guess I could ask Grok. 5 minutes times 2 million. Fuck. That's 10,000 minutes divided by 60. 166,666 hours you're wasting. So times that, let's pretend everybody only makes $30 an hour times 30. That's $5 million. That is $5 fucking million worth of people's time. And that's if people only spent 5 minutes a piece working on it. That's not the wear and tear on the servers. And what? For transparency, it's physically fucking impossible to get the transparency on that unless you ran it through an AI and somehow aggregated it into like a giant fucking flowchart or graph or pie chart or something. Because here's the problem, like, nobody can go through 2 million fucking people's 5 answers. You have to have an AI do it. So do you know how much wear and tear and electricity and fucking CPUs and GPUs and shit it would take to like digest 2 million people? Okay, so hold on. Don't fucking click away. You're the ones that asked for this shit. So 5 times 2 million. That's 10 million responses. So you have to have an AI go through. You probably just plug it into Grok, which means have 10 million government responses going into Twitter servers because the government doesn't have any fucking AIs. I know you might, the government has shit you don't even know. No, the government's on fucking 30, 40-year-old shit. Don't even get me started on that. They want you to think that they're... No. I mean, so they talk about fraud and waste and abuse and efficiency and stuff, but all this is just ludicrous amounts of inefficiency. It all boils down to the fact that managers, this is why there's a hierarchy. Managers should know what their employees are doing, and the execs should know what the managers are doing. And then the secretary, the lead, the lead appointee should be knowing what the execs are doing. This shit is not rocket science. This is how the private side works too. This is why there's a hierarchy. OPM, or if you're on the private side, some stockholders or stakeholders or HR or something. There's no way in a million years that they would ever have the staff to do this. And that's why for performance-based metrics, because I used to audit those, it starts from the very top person. They make their performance plan. The performance plans trickle down all the way to the lobby, and then each manager checks the next person down and makes sure that everything's in alignment. And then the person at the bottom finishes theirs, and then the person above them checks it, and then it goes all the way back up to the top. That's how it's always worked. That's how it always will work until an AI overlord just finally fucking takes over. Okay? And that's basically what this would do, is if he fed all this into an AI, you'd basically be having an AI deciding everybody's worth to the federal government, which maybe some of you are harbor seal clapping for that, and I guess you're just welcoming the fucking AI takeover of our government. But isn't that literally like the beginning of Terminator? Because the DoD is part of the government, which means all of DoD shit would be going into the AI too, which is literally fucking Skynet. Because imagine if you have Skynet deciding how to run the government. I mean, come on, let's be real. This dude is cooked. His brain is fried. Like every third email almost makes sense. And then it's like troll. He's like, they hate even the tiniest amount of accountability. People don't hate accountability. They hate tech bro retards, fucking narcissistic schizophrenics coming in and acting like they own everything. And shocker, everybody hates that on the tech side too. That's why he was wholly rejected about the whole H-1B thing. Because everybody on the tech side, myself included, has seen what happens when you just let H-1Bs run over everything. Fucking all gets ruined. And you don't get shit done, and there's fucking delays, and you waste millions of dollars. And everyone's like, well, he let go of 80% of Twitter. The government should be afraid. Military and Customs and Border Patrol, notwithstanding, and the VA, and Social Security, and a couple of other things. Not counting them, you probably could get rid of 80%. And I've said that before. The problem is twofold. He has no idea which 80% to get rid of. Now, this might have been able to tell him that, except for two problems. People just aren't going to tell him that, in which case they're going to get fired anyway. If he could wave a magic wand. And two, then the entire government would just cease to function. Now, you might, again, be clapping like a harbor seal and want the government to cease to function, but the problem is all the boomers need their Social Security. All the boomers need their Medicare and Medicaid. All the poors need their fucking food cards. Okay? So, like, what the fuck are you going to do about that? Are you just going to close down the DMV because you don't want driver's licenses anymore? Which I really don't care. Like, I don't want to pay for tabs or driver's license or any more of that shit either, but you need some kind of ID. Otherwise, how are you going to validate voting unless you're going to fucking chip everybody's arms or something? Like, are you just going to do away with the Social Security office? And then how are you going to handle Social Security cards? So, I guess you could just have a computer automate those things, but if you just have a computer in charge of Social Security forever, like, what's going to happen someday if somebody needs to, like, work on it or something? You're just going to have to hire all the same people back, right? You could have AIs and agents run large chunks of the government. But the problem with that is we don't have enough AI servers to do it. And I don't think there's anybody on the entire planet I would actually trust to put together something like that. Certainly not Mr. Ketamine that just spends all day fucking shit posting. Oh, just... And then all these... Oh, there's the food beeper. I'll pause real quick. Alright, that's the kitty cat. Food beepy. You know, Elon has all of these NPC influencer Twitters that just suck him off. And it's because they're all blue checks and they all get paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to just retweet his shit, and then he just retweets their shit, and it's just this fucking massive ecosystem. And it's just like, Musk has just become another part of the establishment. He needed AI and basically like a magic wand for this to work. He's trying to fight, or at least claims he's trying to fight, the deep state, or he's trying to fight fraud, waste, and abuse. He's doing it the wrong way because he's never bothered to learn how it works, just like he didn't bother to learn how Twitter works. I mean, maybe he learned how PayPal worked, but the funny thing is if he knew so much about PayPal, how come Twitter still doesn't have a parallel payment platform after all this time? Facebook doesn't have one either. And he talks shit about all these judges, but like, they're not removing judges at a fast enough pace to ever get their stuff through. Like, to put this into perspective, if it takes them more than a day or two to do something, people are able to react and block it. They got away with it the first couple days because they did so many things at the same time that they were able to outpace them. But there are so many judges in the US that are just anti-conservative. They're just like commie judges. And Musk has actually pointed this out. And so has Trump. And so have a lot of other people. Like, they would have to, I don't know what the word is when they, get rid of the judges. They would have to get rid of hundreds and hundreds of judges to not have basically every single thing they do blocked in every single avenue. And as soon as it was apparent that Trump was going to win back in November, well, we all knew way before that, but that's not how their commie brains work. They squirreled away billions and billions of dollars to be of our money to fight every single thing, whether it be ICE raids, whether it be whatever, you name it. Like they're able, they have the infinite money glitch because they get to spend each other's money. Now, some of it, like blocking off, you said, has had a lot of impact, shockingly. One of which you notice at all the protests, they don't have matching signs anymore. So clearly they were paid protesters all along, which is what everybody said and everybody knew. But so I don't want to discount it and say there hasn't been any meaningful effects, but the harm that he's doing, what's that metaphor? It's like when you're trying to bulldoze, like if you've ever tried to like push snow out of the way, but like every time you like shovel the snow, it just like doubles the amount of snow. So you kind of have to like shovel it to the side and keep going, because if you kind of just shove it in front of you, eventually, it's like the unstoppable force versus the immovable wall. And see, like, even Chris Christie, which I know some of my friends know that I joke about Chris Christie all the time. Chris Christie even said Musk can't require federal employees to respond to the email. He says, if Musk and his minions fired someone, there would be no legal basis for it. Secondly, this is a clown car. Dude, Chris Christie just cracks me up. Like, I don't agree. I don't think anything with him politically, but he's fucking hilarious and he just speaks his mind. And do you think Musk actually, argued with him on his merits or something? No. All he said is, what did Chris Christie get done this week? And he's saying buffet bars don't count. Musk doesn't have a platform. He is just shitposting and causing chaos. And some people think that that's hilarious. But like, sooner or later, all comedians get called to the front of the class and say, okay, fine, you fucking want to do it? Here you go. And they're speechless, and that shit-eating grin gets wiped off their face because they fucking know that without shitting on everybody, they don't actually have anything. What is one thing that Musk himself has actually done? Because he bought into PayPal, he bought into Twitter, he bought into Tesla. Like, how much of Starlink, like, he's not a rocket scientist. So, according to the AI, it says whenever anyone asks him how he learned to build space-traveling rockets, his 3-word answer is, I read books. Okay, so he learned, so somehow he just knows how to, know how to do SpaceX and everything based off of the same, it's bullshit. But I guess, depending on who you read, being the founder and CEO of SpaceX somehow makes him a rocket scientist. I don't think so. I don't think he fucking knows jack shit about anything. And I've seen so many executives and CEOs and stuff like this that they live like vicariously through their companies. I mean, there's no doubt that he's smart. He obviously sees a lot of things that people don't see. Yeah, here he is 6 hours ago talking about the deep state. He's an idea person, and Twitter is like an idea engine, and he feeds off of everybody's ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that he is also a giant chucklehead. And you can want people to sow chaos all you want, but you have to be really naive to think that statistically speaking, the chaos is always going to rule in your favor. If you want to be able to capitalize on chaos, you have to have your own plans and your own mechanism in place. Otherwise, you're just an anarchist that wants the world to burn. He doesn't have a plan to fix any of this. Like, here he talks about abolishing the Department of Education. Should the Department of Education get abolished? Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with that. However, him saying that 6 hours ago isn't going to materialize into anything. He doesn't have a plan for abolishing the Department of Education. Trump does. Will Trump be able to get there? I don't know. He puts somebody in charge of the Department of Education that should be able to shut it down. But how do you fire? How many employees does the Department of Education have? The Department of Education has 4,233 employees as of, I guess, May of last year. It's obviously less than that now. How do you, if you're the federal government, how do you fire 4,200 federal employees? You have to basically reorg them into nothing and then offer them first pick at other stuff, except for the problem is right now there isn't anything. So you could do that. Are they going to do that? I don't know. That would be 4,000 more people that are going to be protesting against them, though. Sooner or later, they're going to fire so many people they won't be able to deal with all the people that they've fired if they all protest. You know, here you go, 6 hours ago. Time to impeach judges who violate the law. That's great, but it's not going to... Like, they have to support the representatives that are actually going to do this. And there's hundreds of them. And they're not doing it fast enough. Because he gets bogged down with stupid shit. And then Trump goes and plays golf. So, my question is to y'all, revealing things that you don't like this one. The NSA has secret sex chats about transgender stuff and this and that, and they're different fetishes. And supposedly while they were on the clock and being paid by US taxpayers. Okay. What are you going to do about it? Fuck nothing, because all you're going to say 7 hours ago is, now we know what they did last week. Big fucking deal. So what? Conservatives aren't going to protest about this because they're all still fucking working. They elected Trump to do something about it, and instead, what's happening? There's no congressional hearings. Nobody's getting arrested. Like, the budget is coming up in a couple weeks. The budget's probably going to get passed. Nothing's going to happen. They have sown a bunch of chaos, and all the Twitter retards have Harbor Seal clapped for them, and nothing's gotten done. They fired a couple USAID lobies, maybe closed USAID down. Maybe because it was an executive order created, I'm not exactly sure. Which is why the Doge was able to be created in the electronic efficiency one, which was made by Obama. And then, they let some IRS probies go, which were overwhelmingly small business auditors. So, that's good. That'll make it different. Like, don't get me wrong, like, a couple of these tiny things will make a difference. But by and large, I want you to understand that this is just like spazzing out chaos. And the thing is like a hierarchy, like a really, really strong hierarchy, like the government, and there is no stronger hierarchy in the US, period, is designed to fight off chaos like antibodies, like hunting down a virus. And instead of Elon coming out with reasonable, rational, like non-psychotic bullshit, instead I cannot articulate to you how much of a raging fucking spaz he is on Twitter. Here's another one 7 hours ago. Well, at least we know what they did last week. Or, smiley faces making fun of obviously some NSA chat room leaked or something. It's like, dude, here you go. I have an idea, fucking brainiac. Instead of being a giant spaz, why don't you do something about it? Trolling about it. Okay, you exposed it. Okay, now fucking do something. Oh, you're not going to? You're just going to troll it and laugh at it and expose it? Like, these are real problems that real people want really fixed. This isn't like stupid shit that you can just expose and laugh at and it fixes it. These people don't care that they're being laughed at. All you got to do is read Reddit and go to Fed News, because between Twitter and Reddit r/Fed News, this is all 100% leaked. You have him on Twitter laughing at everybody with his NPC Harbor Shield retards. And then you have Reddit, which is on the other side, that is actively working against him just being a raging spaz. So let's go over to the Reddit side, r/Fed News. This the very first one that pops up 4 minutes ago. How many workers were able to concentrate today without being distracted? Be honest. I'm like, dude, just let us work. The lost productivity is enormous. We can get more done if we're not writing it down every 5 minutes. The ongoing mental and emotional strain this is causing cannot be ignored. The uncertainty, stress, and anxiety is taking a serious toll on employees' well-being, creating a toxic work environment. Our agency leadership knows how to lead. Let them. So you might think to yourself again, well, how hard is it to write down 5 things? I can tell you, when the shit that you do is insanely complicated, because I used to have to do this on the private side all the time, let me tell you exactly how it goes. I will tell you exactly how it goes. I had this has happened to me at least 3 or 4 times. I write it down at a really, really high level. They say they don't understand it. So there, I just wasted, somewhere between 5 and 30 minutes. I write it in an extremely detailed way, with bullet points, explanations, flowcharts, and graphs, and shit and fucking arrows pointing to everything. And then they either A, say they still don't understand it, or they try to tell me then again that all of a sudden they can form an opinion that I'm doing it wrong, even though I have so many fucking years of experience under my belt, and they can't tell me why or how I'm doing it wrong or how to do it better, just that I'm doing it wrong, but they don't know why or how. And it's really just because they're insecure and they still don't understand it, but they want to assert some kind of dominance, or they say my grammar's wrong, or my spelling's wrong, or that just to try to, instead of just admitting that like I'm an expert and they're a manager and managers don't need to understand anything. Just let people do their job and, clear their own way. So there's rarely managers right in the middle that like kind of get it, and they're like, okay, cool, can you walk me through like why this was a problem or why this worked so well? And I tell them, and they're like, okay, that's cool. The next time that happens, let me know. I want to sit and watch. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they start to get it, which is nice because then they can actually be an advocate for me instead of me doing all the work and fighting my own battles. So very rarely, like if I ever find a manager that just stays the fuck out of my way and just makes sure that nobody fucks with me, like those managers are worth all of the money in the world. But I somehow get stuck with fucking retards as managers like 99% of the time. Like it never fails. And I try to go over them. I try to go to their boss, only to find out that their bosses are so over reliant on their managers that they treat me like the virus. Even when I email them like irrefutable proof that their managers are incapable of even providing consistent instructions, 2 days in a row, and are jerking me around and then using the fact that they switch the rules on me from day to day and the me not follow the rules, and then holy fuck, it's infuriating. That's why I've had just so many problems my whole life. I legitimately think people just like fucking with me rather than letting me do my job, or trying to come up to my level someday. So my point is this: I guarantee 99% of you, if you ask me the 5 things that I did this week, I promise you will have no fucking idea what any of it means. I promise you. So then where do you go? Where do you go from here? Where do we go from here? If you're my boss and you say, tell me the 5 things, now you might pull the Sun Tzu route and go, well, do I not understand this because you're not explaining it, or do I not understand it because I'm retarded? And I'll already tell you it's because you're retarded, or just you're educated in something completely different. Like here's the problem. What's Plan B? Do you want me to spend hours and hours and hours and hours painfully explaining it all to you, fully well understanding that next week I'm going to do 5 new things that you're also going to have no idea? And then the next week I'm going to do 5 new things that you have no idea, and then maybe eventually you'll have the common sense to realize that, oh fuck, this guy does hundreds and hundreds of things and I don't understand any of it, so am I going to act really insecure like a little bitch? Or am I just going to trust him that if anything really fucked up pops up, he's just going to tell me? Right? You see the problem? And then you have to make sure you don't act like a spaz when I actually tell you something. Like, oh shit, all the systems are down, but it's going to be okay, I'm going to take care of it. Or, oh shit, we're 3 builds behind, but don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. Like, I'm just telling you so management doesn't flip the fuck out at you and then you act like you don't know what's going on. Like, I'm covering all of our asses here, right? That's the problem with, like, business analysts. This is happening again, and it's happened to me before, where I'm surrounded by people with business analyst titles that are not actually business analysts. They're kids surrounded by, well, as kids, 20-somethings, surrounded by tons of 20-somethings that are all with the job title business analyst, but none of them know anything about business analysts, or they've been trained in agile, so they know how to run an agile project, but they don't know how to run a real project. Agile is just the fakest, dumbest bullshit on the fucking planet. It is not how you run a real project. It's how you do tons of teeny tiny sprints and hope the change managers got their shit together and hope the scrum master's fucking not coming to work drunk on the job and then quits. So I hope the devs don't fucking walk out, and hope the database architecture people don't quit. It's just the most insanely like reckless way to run fucking fake startup bullshit. Anyway, like a real business analyst is worth their weight in gold. A real data analyst is like amazing. You can teach anybody how to run reports. You can teach anybody how to flippity floop and pull data around. Real data analytic, like, it takes forever. It takes tons of education. It takes so many years to like understand the trends of shit, like why looking at trends using different methodologies is like so different. Not to mention like real QA methodologies of like how good or bad you really want, or you can really afford whatever it is you're working on. Like real experts are becoming rarer and rarer because they're all retiring and they're being replaced by kids. And more often than not now, a lot of these kids just go to ChatGPT or Grok or the new China one, and they're just like fudging everything as they go. Because so many of these people are retiring on the private side and now the public side too, they're not transferring any of their information or their knowledge to anybody. These are single points of failure, people that have been doing shit for like 30 or 40 years that are retiring because they feel like everyone's just shitting on them. Yeah, they've been doing it for 40 years, but they fucking know the whole thing inside and out. They're like masters at their crafts. But now they're being told that they're fucking worthless, which is the same thing that Musk and Vivek did with all the tech bro bullshit 3 months ago. People don't like being called like worthless, especially not the people who have been busting their asses their whole lives. You might have maybe a couple hundred people on Reddit whining. But like, the reason why people were so upset about having to ask or answer 5 questions is not that they couldn't come up with 5 things. They almost all universally said that they just all stressed out all weekend about it. And Musk, all he did, what he always does, is just mock them. Oh, why was it so stressful to come up with 5 things? The dude has no fucking empathy at all. He seems, by all accounts, to be a complete and total sociopath. So, if people are stressed out, instead of mocking them, which he did over and over and over, he's been mocking them for 2 days, which is why this just comes off as yet another reason to fucking mock everybody, because everybody else claps like harbor seals that they're all being mocked and tortured, and then they all want to just retaliate because they feel like they're being, bullied, and everyone thinks that, they've been bullying them, and everyone's feelings are hurt. Everyone's a bunch of fucking snowflakes. They don't realize that, like, these are people that, planned on having birthday parties with their kids. These are people that planned on spending their Saturday and spending their Sunday, their 2 days off with their loved ones. These are people that maybe wanted to go camping or hiking, or they wanted to go skiing. They worked, and they wanted to have their weekend. And now this fucking shit-eating grin dude that's not even from here wants to come here and, like, if you don't post your 5 things by Saturday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, you're going to be fired. You might think, 5 things, why is that so hard? That's not the point. The point is that nobody trusts him. Nobody fucking trusts him because he hasn't done anything to build anybody's trust. I can't even imagine, besides the couple of NPCs that orbit him that make thousands off of retweeting his shit, and he retweets their shit back, which in my opinion is just basically like a big money laundering influencer circle jerk, because everybody who doesn't suck as virtual ding dong has either had their Twitter page dramatically reduced or completely cut. There's at least two Twitter people I've seen who've had they still have their blue checks, but their stripes, which is the payment, their stripe just has stopped paying them. And then several people have had their pay from Twitter dramatically reduced, all with no explanation other than they're not sucking Musk's virtual ding dong. So again, he has not led anybody to trust him. Most conservatives that I've talked to have never trusted him. They call him the Antichrist. They've been calling him the Antichrist forever. Nobody on the left trusts him at all. And now nobody in the government trusts him. And before that, over Christmas, the tech bros don't trust him. So my question to you is, do you think Musk's time is almost at an end? He told everybody to come back to the office, then said they're going to sell the buildings. He told everybody that responding to the Doge was voluntary, with the whole, put everyone on admin and getting the buyout. He said that, responding to the OPM is always going to be voluntary. And then he said, if you don't respond, you get retired. And then he said, LOL, it was just 5 questions, and then he said, we're going to give you all raises even though we can. And then he says, we're going to terminate you even, second email, but we're going to terminate you even though we can't. Like, he has reached the point to where nobody is going to respond to any of his shit anymore. And they're just going to let the chips fall. And a lot of people on the Reddit think that the straw that broke the straw man's back was the fact that multiple agency heads said they didn't have to respond to him. And those multiple agency heads were not lefty-loos. They were all directly recruited by Orange Man himself. They're all going to go to Trump and say Musk is fucking retarded and doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't know what he's doing. It's time to let him do the data analytics forensics and tell him to lay off the OPM and lay off the drugs, because this isn't tech bro land. You can't fire people like this. Even if you wanted, and again, I'll kind of restate this, even if you wanted him to be able to fire people like this, the only way he could do it is if he fed all of this into an AI and then let the AI figure out who to fire, because Twitter didn't have 2 million employees. Let's see. How many employees did Twitter have? 3,000. But he said he cut 80. Let's see. He said he cut 80%. So is that 100,000? 200,000? At their peak. Oh, at their peak. No, stop it. I'm gonna guess it's less than 100,000. That already seems like insanely high, but the search engine. I know what we'll do. We'll ask fucking Grok. Dear Grok, how many employees did Twitter have at its peak? Twitter's peak number of employees was around 7,500. That's it? That's it? Wow, I'm really fucking terrible at math. That's why I gotta get the calculator out. So again, the federal government is around 2 million employees. That doesn't count contractors, and that accounts for DoD, which is the military and shit. Twitter only had around 7,500 according to Grok, which pulled 15 web pages and seven posts. So yeah, 7,500 when Twitter was still a public company. So firing 80% of 7,500 people is vastly different than firing 80% of 2 million. Again, not saying that some of those people shouldn't go night-night in the unemployment line, but you would need an AI to do it. You would have to feed. You would have to do this like 5 questions a week thing, and then you'd have to feed it into an AI, and then you'd have to somehow cross-reference it with everyone's OPM performance plan shit, which means you have to fit the entire OPM performance plan fucking thing of God knows how many people into it, and then you'd have to like cross-reference those 2 things. And he's a judge blocked him from doing that, so he can't get everyone's OPM files to get their performance plans, and like half of the agency heads told him to not even respond to him. So he's completely lost his traction officially. Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2 is, even if you could unemploy 2 million people, would you? And that's a much more challenging question, because according to the debt clock, we're at 36.5 trillion. And I think everybody agrees that some of those people have to go night-night to get the debt clock under control. Totally agree. I also, and this is an extremely unpopular opinion, I do not think everybody in the US has the right to be employed. I think there needs a world needs to exist where failure is an option. And I understand why people are super pissed at the government, if only because they survived the 08 crash and the 14 crash without losing their houses. I didn't lose my house in the 08 crash, but I lost my house in the 14 crash. I don't blame the government for that, but there's a lot of people who do. What you have to ask yourself is like, is it more of a humane thing to do to actually make sure some kind of work exists for them? At least the ones that can maybe still loosely prove that they're actually doing something. You know, I don't know. I think it's hard. I think you have to find a way to do it without AI. First of all, I think that's gross and psychotic. And I don't know why or how he decided to jump ahead with the whole low performers thing. He could have just grabbed from OPM who the low performers were. I don't know why he didn't do that. That was his plan. I don't know if he just forgot or thought this would be fucking hilarious. But that was his plan. And then he could have worked through management of all the heads and said, look, it's time for your low performers to step it up or go night-night to the unemployment office. Provided, he doesn't fire all of them too, which I guess those are state level, so he wouldn't. But I don't know. He just decided to just fuck himself instead. I don't know if he listens to some idiot or if he is the idiot. I can't tell, but I think it is completely justifiable that people have anxiety who have never had to deal with this bullshit before, from someone just randomly asking him 5 things. Because, again, I already told you what I would have had to go through. Whoever is fucking reading this isn't going to have any idea what I'm talking about, so they're going to have to pump it through an AI. And that, to me, is enough to give me anxiety. That's enough to make me pause and go, am I okay? I don't give these people permission to pump what I do through an AI. I want, at my own discretion, to be able to decide what goes into an AI or not. And so, la-dee freaking da. I don't think most people were stressed because someone was all of a sudden asking them 5 things. I think it takes a lot of time, and I think it takes a lot of time to acclimate, to give to, and it takes a lot of trust to send people the 5 things that you did. And I know that sounds dumb, but it's true. I still get anxiety every 2 weeks doing my timesheet because I had a boss that used multiple bosses that used to just ream me out over every minute that I spent on anything. And it caused me, where I did not used to have anxiety, it began to cause me anxiety because I started to dread doing my fucking timesheet. And it wasn't until one of my many mentors finally told me one day, he goes, she does it to me too. And he goes, I'll tell you what, you tell her, my time is my time, and if you got a problem with it, don't sign it, and then we'll play it from there. And I was like, shit, dude. This dude was like prior Marines and stuff. Like, he was absolutely fucking badass guy. And I'll tell you more about him someday. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciated this guy's mentorship and leadership. He was a real leader. He was a real legit dude. And like, if you don't surround yourself with people like that to reground you, the shit gets in your head. I should have absolutely no anxiety doing my timesheet. I've been doing this shit for 20 years. But before timesheets, I used to have anxiety about my fucking time cards. And you know what it was? My very first job ever. I was barely 16, and they were guilting me to working off the clock after 10:30 p.m. on school nights. Vastly illegal. Tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines for doing that. And they did that to me every night. And that was my first job. And it only got worse from there. I could do hours of episodes on how many times I have been like the victims of managers forcing me to work off the clock. I could tell you about class action lawsuits that happened because of time clock fraud, not from employees, from the employers. And then so you take that to the corporate world, and that's just what timesheets is. I don't even want to tell you how many hours a week I work for free, even now, as a professional adult, just because it's way easier for me to work off the clock than it is for me to fuck around with a timesheet. So, fuck Musk. He doesn't even give a shit about building any sense of credibility. He wants to talk about transparency, but the dude's lost it. He has no idea what anxiety or trepidation or fear, stress, he doesn't know what any of that means. I mean, supposedly, he used to like sleep on the floor in the Tesla plant or some blah, blah, blah. The dude, this is all just a giant joke to him. And that's the problem. He needs to build a reputation of trust. If he wants people to follow him, if he wants to be a leader, he needs to not be a raging chucklehead. That's the problem. Everybody trusts Orange Man because even though he does troll on Twitter sometimes and he says mean things to people, he can also talk to people and he can speak their language. And I'm sure if I could talk to him, I could explain these things to him and he would nod and he would make his little Orange Man face that he makes, and it would probably make perfect sense to him. But I know if I explain this to Musk, he would just laugh in my face. And that's the problem. Everybody, when they see Musk, they see that cocky fucking manager that they hate, that is oxygen starved and thinks that everything is a huge fucking joke. And they go home and screw off and they don't give a shit about anything while work is fucking falling apart. And I have lost my own job once to somebody like that, and the dude had a double bachelor's and a master's, and I was trying to train that guy, my own fucking job, for weeks, and all he did was just laugh at everything I said like a cackling fucking hyena, and he wasn't even from here. That shit pissed me off so bad. The ultimate diversity hire. He just thought everything was so fucking funny. The only reason he even got to apply and was even interviewed was on a bullshit technicality because my lead fucked up. And then, oh my gosh, like, these people, like, cackles. She just fucking cackled at everything. Like, Musk may not literally be, like, laughing at everything, but, like, that's all that people see. You have to have clear, calm, measured people in charge that you can trust, especially if they're going to be auditing everything. Because if he's going to unemploy literally fucking millions of people, he has to make a case for it that more than a bunch of bought and paid for influencers agree with. That's just the truth. He's not, every day he's losing more and more people because he's fucking this up worse and worse and worse. Like, I think the IRS needs to go night-night. I think the ATF needs to go night-night. I think Department of Education needs to go night-night. The problem is, though, is we are not going to get there when you effectively have a Tasmanian devil, like a tornado that's just like randomly swapping and swapping at random things. Like, if you want the IRS to go night-night, you need somebody who actually, like, doesn't have raging fucking ADD and just spurgs random shit on Twitter every 30 seconds, 24 hours a day. Like a damn spaz. And I would say we need state level, some kind of state level version of the Doge, or we're never going to fix homeless problems. We're never going to get our Second Amendment back. And ICE needs to be doing like 10,000 times what it's doing right now. And we're not able to focus on any of those things. Like, where's national reciprocity? Where's national concealed carry? Like, all this shit just goes out the window. And it's so frustrating. He's like such a distraction. You need people that are focused, that are measured, that are able to get shit done, not be just a giant raising chucklehead spaz. Or what's going to happen is the bureaucracy is just going to use his own distractions against him, and all they're going to do is block and tackle every single one of his distractions with the infinite amounts of state level money and judges that they have. And if they're not going to find ways of mass firing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of judges, and then somehow get, the Congress and Senate and fucking House to, work through their shit and actually like completely stop the budget until they fix spending and prepare to actually shut the government down until they can fix spending. This is all theatrics. This is all just chaotic bullshit theatrics. And he is going to lose everybody who supports him that he's not paying for, that have two fucking brain cells to rub together. Just letting you know. More people are going to get hired back. More of his shit's going to fall through. All the departments that he wants to close down and Orange Man wants to close down, they're going to use his chaos to just claw their way back. Because the dude is just like a tornado that's just smashing random spots. You might clap when he lands on a spot that you want. But like, sooner or later, it's gonna affect you somehow. You might need VA benefits, you might need Social Security, you might need Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps. Sooner or later, it's gonna fuck up something that you need because he wasn't surgical in how he's doing this. I think he has a very smart team, but they lack experience, and he's a psycho. They need somebody who actually understands all this. And they still, to this day, can't write a single OPM email that's actually professional or that actually explains anything. His emails are literally coming off as trolls. And that's exactly what Reddit says. This one says, will it take suicides to stop this? Is that the goal? The trolling is one thing, but the lack of support from leadership or families another. Some of us are veterans with our entire careers tied up with this. Like, how many veterans? And I know that's like a straw man that a lot of people have used. But this topic of like people unaliving themselves over this, like, there's a lot of weirdos that are cheering that on. But there's going to be a lot of collateral from this, and it's going to be messy. And so I guess you have to be okay with that. I'm not putting it on you, but like, that's kind of how, if this isn't done with a lot of empathy, and you could say, well, they could have taken the buyout. It's like, some of them weren't that close to retirement. I mean, I kind of agree a lot more people should have taken the buyout. I mean, they wouldn't have had to deal with this trolling. But there was a lot of people that already didn't trust the buyout. They didn't trust the buyout because they were never told if the money was really earmarked, because the OPM emails were such fucking gibberish. By the time they straightened the OPM emails out from the last one, everyone's didn't trust it anymore. Like, Musk needs to step back and figure out how to gain trust with everybody, but instead he's just been spending the last 6 hours being a fucking chucklehead. So if somehow this does go viral and you're affected by this, like, reach out to people who trust and care about you, or dial the phone number to find help, because don't let this idiot's chaos consume you. They still don't have plans for a lot of this stuff. The 50-mile range thing, the full remote thing. They say they want to send you back, but they want to close down the offices. Like, just do your best to talk to your managers and do your best. I have a sneaking suspicion after this last round of fuck-ups, they might just say, you know what, fuck this guy. You don't have to come back to the office. The department heads, the agency heads might just decide to just say, tell him to fuck off about everything. I don't know that for sure, but if I was them and I had if I had thousands of employees telling me that this guy has lost his mind, and there's actually clear evidence now that he's just completely lost his mind, I would put all of it on hold. Because he didn't even bother to wait. He's doing too much. I mean, I can't say he didn't even bother to wait. He waited like, you know, one day after the buyout thing was done, which he probably would have done it sooner if the judge hadn't blocked it for a few days. But like, he's fighting too many battles at once. And he's probably just so blitzed out of his mind, you know, he can't even keep track. I mean, maybe he doesn't realize when were all the full timers supposed to go back to the office? I thought it was today. When are full time federal supposed to go back to the office? No. Fuck, man. The internet is like so bad. It wasn't January 20th. Hold on. Oh, March 3rd. So, which is, oh, my bad, next Monday. So if he had waited, which by the way is not going to happen, but whatever. If he had waited until next Monday to send the email, then that wouldn't give people like a whole entire week to like fight this dumb shit that he did last weekend. Like, maybe he fucked his weekends up or something. Maybe he meant to send this like next weekend. But I literally wouldn't be surprised if the agency directors, use this as an excuse to just not send everybody back to the office and just be like, fuck this guy. And then everybody who thought, ha, they can't wear their pajamas anymore, they only have one person to be mad at, the dude that just can't fucking help himself. I know he wants this shit to get done fast so people can't react to it. I actually understand that. But if he's going to do that, he has to make moves that don't make him look like an unhinged lunatic. The problem, and I will tell you, the problem that he made is he is tweeting the exact same things that OPM is sending. Okay? That was his big fuck up. And I'm talking to some guy on Twitter right now. He says he works for Border Patrol. And he says his agency simply told him to list his job description. Because he works for the Border Patrol. Is he going to tell Musk 5 people that he apprehended? Or, hey, I was apprehending people all week. Or I sat at the border and, you know, nobody came by today. Like, it's none of Musk's fucking business. But he thinks it is, because what, does he think Border Patrol's not doing anything either? But OPM send this to all 2 million fucking employees. And so I messaged him back. I said, yeah, what if you work for the CIA? Are you supposed to list the last 5 dictatorships you overthrew? If the IRS, the last 5 people whose taxes you worked on? There's all these like armchair warrior people who sit on Twitter all day that just think this shit is so funny, and they keep echoing everything he says, hoping, you know, they're going to get retweeted, or if they're blue checks, hoping, you know, they're going to get some engagement, you know, ad revenue from it. And he actually responded to me and he said, exactly, that's why the department secretaries are taking the reins on a lot of this. I replied, because I do a lot, so 5 bullets are easy. Also, they're not reading it. It's 2.3 million people. Trump even said it's basically to see how there is alive and working, and even a lack of responses going through the chain of command first. See, there's people out there that get it. There's people out there that are making like really, really measured responses. But the algorithm is drowning these people out and echoing this retarded Harbor Seal bullshit. And you got to realize, whenever there's a financial incentive for people to just be like echoing troll shit, all it does is just amplify troll shit. I just want y'all to be able to read through the bullshit, okay? Because I want there to be meaningful changes. There are some agencies that I think do need to go. There are some agencies that need to be restructured. It is going to result in a lot of reorgs that are probably going to unemploy a lot of people. But I think you have to do that regardless of how you feel about them. It needs to be done with grace. It needs to be done with empathy. It needs to be done with professionalism. And bullying and mentally torturing them is just inhumane and sick. These people are not, 99.999% of these people are not your enemy. Okay? Nothing's being done about the executives. Nothing's being done about the management bloat. Nothing's being done about the legislation. Nothing's being done about the lobbies. Nothing's being done about all of the other. I always forget the names of all of it. Like, nothing's being done about any of that, and that should tell you all you need to know. Firing a bunch of lobies does not fix that. Until there's actual meaningful change, all this chaos does is just fuck everything up. So, I appreciate y'all, and just keep your heads on a swivel, because shit is going to get way fucking worse from here on out. So just keep your heads on a swivel, and I appreciate you all, and talk to y'all in the next one. And any engagement down in the chat is much appreciated, and I appreciate y'all. Bye-bye. We're just fine. I wanted to work for public service to try to make a difference. I moved out of the cities because it got too dangerous. I swore an oath to uphold and protect. Then I randomly got told if I don't come back, it's my last check. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties left in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain a swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out. So we'll get attacked. Last I checked, you wanted people to work there that would fix things. Well, last time I checked, you wanted high performers. The cities are still full of the people who made them that way. You really think the tech bros can fix it like they say? I doubt it. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties staying in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out. Cities are still circling the drain. The situation is pure. The only way is to leave and leave the cities to their fate. But instead you want everyone back blind in my head. We work from home just fine. Our farm is an office in the spruce and pines. Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefty shitting in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all moved out. We'll get attacked.
decentralize, move offices to the rural areas, make the rural areas vibrant with jobs again. Then you'll have the conservative surface, that's your why. You keep trying the same things, and it's acting death where we fall. So strong as fall, trolling is fun, but it is the definition of insanity. And it's not good. Why? Did y'all forget that it's conservatives living in rural areas? Did y'all forget it's mostly lefties left living in the cities? How the hell do you expect to drain the swamp if you force everyone back? The idiots still live there while we all move down, so we don't get attacked. So just let us work from home. We're doing just